Welcome back, folks. We are about to jump into Mirage between ZPG and Triumph, a map, Vince, that Triumph fell short of when it came down to playing Chaos on it, and that was a big thanks to Zeppa, one of the heaviest hitters of Chaos on Mirage in specific. And I think that when we look at the individuals of ZPG, and after that performance at the start of Inferno, you better keep your eyes on Dazzle. I feel like this man's made for Mirage, Vince, and well, it's time to find out.
Yeah, he was also made for Inferno, it would seem, Scrawny, because he really did lead the charge. He had a bit of a slow start to the second half, but he was lights out in the first. I believe he got 14 kills. So we'll see how he starts things off here. It's going to be hot and heavy from Triumph. They go aggressively. Nothing slow about this opening, but Spongy's already been tagged and now fragged out from Marky as Moose comes back with that P250. B is becoming spilled upon from the terrorists, as is plenty of blood from the CTs. ZPG 2v3 up against them, but Infinite and Zelsa's both come in with one taps straight away, and Infinite through the smoke goes into Sheikh Zula, and there's another one. Successful retake from ZPG right off the bat.
Oh boy, Infinite, infinitely better than those 3 Ts he toppled, man. The headshot through the smoke. Now, okay, I don't know if he's gonna pull that one off twice, but it was instrumental to the retake attempt. That's for certain. So just enjoy these, folks. It's almost a bit unfair, Vince. Can we call it that?
Maybe if you're like a Triumph fan, but that's just pure skill from Infinite. There's no luck there. There's no RNG. That's just pure aim. So you just got to tip your hat to him and say, fair enough, dude, you were better than us in that round. But look, we can still come back into this. But considering that ZPG won the first map, to kick things off with the pistol, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? They're going to be feeling real good right about now. But Bomb Plant affords 2. Make that 3 AK-47. Sheikh Zula with the Deagle and a Scout on Junior. So you cannot overlook Triumph for this round. They are still coming into this very dangerous and very powerful.
Yeah, as good as ZPG may feel about the round win, they definitely weren't feeling too good just 10 seconds before Infinite decides to pop off. Triumph had very real promise in that pistol. Dazzle, dangerous. So close to the smoke, but he backs up just in time. Now Zelsis, he lays down his own smoke grenade, and this could put Dazzle in an excellent position if he goes all the way into Palace. Maybe he gets compromised just standing out there on the open. We'll see what Zelsis can do in terms of taking away the attention for Dazzle to perhaps come in big, but Zelsis, he just fully tucks. Dazzle, he's going to start shooting first. That draws the eyes of Spongy and Moose. But Spongy gives cover, most notably. Now that 3 versus 4, Cooper back from Ticket with a FAMAS, gets 1, and Infinite, another kill in mid. Spongy and Moose trying to get across the no man's land. It's a heads-up 2v2, and Spongy claws one back, immediately traded. He knows there's a player towards Ticket and another in from Con. How does he section them off? He goes for the bomb plant, and he's just going to commit to it. Wants that extra bit of cash, and it gets taken away by Cooper.
Honestly, I couldn't respect that he tries to go for the full plant, because many teams would assume it's a fake. And when you have 2 separate angles, one of which is fairly a low player on HP, do you want to feasibly go in for those 1v1 potential peaks if he's tickled the bomb and he's still looking at CT? Perhaps not. This is why things like fakes and just full diffusers work so many times. The enemy assumes that you wouldn't have the audacity and the courage to go for it. So nice try from Triumph, but it's not quite nice enough. And they're going to be forced into pistols with Deagles in play. Aggression up ramp. Dazzle, you highlighted him as a player to watch out for, and so far he is stepping up. Does get deeked down from Spongy, but the damage should have already been inflicted enough to yield the round, and indeed it shall. 3-0 quick rounds. ZPG Storm in the lead.
You know, I can really get behind this Dazzle Zelsis synergy going on this A site. You know, 2 riflemen that at one point or another were looking to make big moves, right? Remember, Zelsis picked up, I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he played on Cloud9 for a little bit, you know, and that was during the time where, okay, maybe the roster was in a bit of turmoil, but he got his shot because clearly he was, you know, one of those promising stars of NA. Dazzle, we also expected to get the call up at one point or another. So now, if I get these 2 guys on that A bomb site, I think that's some heavy firepower that Triumph are going to need to find a solution to. But Sheikh Zula, Well, it's easy when they can't shoot back, huh? He gets the best of timing versus Zelsis, who had just turned his attention elsewhere. And now Cooper looks to solve this problem. Cooper off to a better start. And he could find great timing on the cat player. Oh, he gets the chance, but Penny with the headshot. Welcome to the scoreboard, kid. He's got 2 CTs just next to him, and Triumph look to set their teeth, or sink them rather, into B.
Penny low, but all he has to do now is just hide in ladder and play the scouting position. Call for the rest of the troops. Look, I can hear one catwalk. Now he can look for that rotation, that flank. Perfect. Perfectly played. And important too, by the way, because Marky got 2 from up on top of the box, a Molotov frag and a FAMAS. So if Penny misses out on those chances, you're looking at a potential 2v2, and this round is very much on the table. As it stands, though, for Dazzle, it's not looking good. As skilled and as talented as this player is, to find 3 players unlikely, and Penny gets a 4th. This man today has been impressive.
Here he is, walking around, hanging out, dying. Okay, all right, missed that one. Not a problem. Point being, we have, luckily, Vince, we have those plays imprinted in our memory, especially the one on Inferno in overtime. Huge 1v3 4K on that A bomb site. Wasn't quite enough, unfortunately, for Triumph to give them the map win, but does great things for his confidence this afternoon. Coop looking to scoop up a deagle kill, but nobody to the top of mid. Triumph with a massive weapon advantage here in the 5th round. Do not want to lose anything. And very clearly, it's the Bug Gods. They'll have the economy to come in with the next round buy. Cooper should have that op. All will be good. But if they could rob this one, or even just rack up the costs versus Triumph, then you bet they'll give it their all. So Dazzle finds a bit of timing here, clearing out the palace. This justifies Zelsis leaving the A site, and so far this rotation is perfect. If he gets caught out, then maybe they just run right back into A, but he hears them throwing grenades. Dazzle, he decides to go around the corner, catch Moose with a tidbit of damage. So now Triumph, they know the jig is up. They have to worry about being stacked on B. They've got time to open options, but okay. Dazzle from downtown, P250, best Moose. Get him out of here.
That's at least 1 rifle they're going to end up losing, because they're going to have to toss that out the map if they don't want to allow the CTs to save that. So good effort from Dazzle, and it could go a little bit more scary and sketchy for Triumph. There's 25 seconds left, and that's 2 frags unanswered. ZPG still 5 players strong. Spongy pushing through. Molotov been tossed in. It's going to force Dazzle away, and now he has to hope the rest of the troops can deliver, and the AK on the CTs has been nullified and neutralized. But still Dazzle up in the palace can show his hand, and he'll show it and clench that fist, punching and knocking Junior out. Post-plant in effect. Spongy's still alive, but not for too much longer. And now it comes down to Penny one more time. 6 kills to his name, but only 3 HP to play with. 1 bullet anywhere on his body, and he's down. But there's no kit on the side of ZPG. He's played this to perfection, and he has saved Triumph from a very embarrassing round. They're still going to be pretty embarrassed by how things went, especially as Infinite can save the AWP, but at least they get the round win.
We were looking for the damage, and oh, did they deliver, and then some. Cooper gets to save money because the AWP has been kept by Infinite, and just props to Penny. Keeps himself composed in the situation. He had 3 HP, 2 opponents, and all he knew he had to do was play that bomb. Vince, he finds the perfect angle to just shave the diffuser off of the top of it, and then he just sinks back into the CT to enjoy the fruits of his labor. But those fruits, a little overdate, because again, that comes with crazy losses. All things considered, Dazzle did everything he could to almost rob that, and now Moose will catch Cooper trying to walk through apps with an AWP of all things. Dazzle looks to replace him, getting the shoulder of Moose, screwing over the Molotov trajectory, and giving Dazzle a chance to just drop back. Still, it's a man advantage for Triumph, and they're gonna like the odds. They may just commit in on this. The A site is in question. Sheikh Zula with a late mid lurk and a slow start to this second map. Maybe he can open an avenue elsewhere if they need to turn around, but Dazzle with Zelsis by his side, a kill apiece, leaving Bomb stranded and Moose out of the equation, completely still pinned into Palace. How do they get back into this?
As a question for Sheikh Zula to muse on. Going to be that little bit more complicated without any smokes or molotovs. Just the flashbang. Junior having a couple of chances. A couple of cracks at the whip finally does connect. Sheikh Zula shows his hand from Catwalk, and Junior pushing through the smoke. Gets dispatched. Maybe trying to catch them off guard, but all it did is give himself up. And now Sheikh Zula 1v2. Just under half a minute to play with. No control over the bomb. No idea where that second counter-terrorist is. And there comes in Zellsis with the backstab. 4-2 the score. But what a hold on A again, man. Like you said, the Zellsis-Dazzle partnership is something that could be really difficult to contend with. And those two frags that they picked up on ramp, huge.
Yep, absolutely. That duo right there is one, you know, with Dazzle being this last-minute addition. I mean, I think that no matter what, he adds value to a roster. But him and Zellsis combined, I think that's a cool element of this one. And because of their setup on Mirage, we're getting to see it now. Keep an eye on it as it moves forward, but it's Triumph's turn to try something with little to lose. MP9 spray down for 0 damage. Same can be said for the Deagle shots that ring out. Sheikh Zula gets a little bit of timing. He will be checked by Zellsis in the end. Good sense of danger from Zellsis. Reads the situation well. Gave them mid. Has completely conceded this side of the map. And a frag grenade that could have been deadly. But a little bit of cover helps. Zellsis gets himself a second kill. He's being chased, and Dazzle helps him, keeping everybody alive for the time being. Finding the squatter in Junior, posted on top of the fence. Humpty Dumpty takes a tumble, and Spongey's all that's left over. Empty-handed on the Deeg. Marky executes it from behind, and ZPG, with 5 survivors in that 7th round, are ready to lock down this CT half. Triumph's buy needs to break through here and now.
Man, Cooper might have had a labored first half in Inferno, but that flick that he just landed onto Junior was prime. I'm hoping to see much more of that. Junior, in the meanwhile, is actually taking a bit of a back step. He's 2-6. Hasn't had the impact. To be fair, hasn't had much of a chance. Now he has the AWP in his hands. Cooper flashed out, was going aggressive in middle, but he can use the connector as cover. Spongy pushed in from Marky, and a freebie of a frag that he will jump on top of. And this may force away one of those players on the A site to go and join him. It's actually going to be Cooper from window, who is looking in, spotting the backside of Spongy in the window, and doesn't miss on his opportunity. Player advantage shifts from Triumph to ZPG.
Got that big flank in Dazzle as well. We saw him finding really nice timings with lurks on Inferno. He decides not to go to the top of mid, but just to confirm to B that Apps is clear. And he could even wrap back underpass to continue this lurk if he wants to take full mid control. But being thorough in checking his corners as Cooper makes that contact, finishing off Penny with the P250. And Zellsis just going to tuck now. He knows odds are they're coming at him. 45 seconds for Triumph to do so. They start dropping the little utility they have left over. Speaking of which, the retake, so well equipped. And perfect timing from Cooper. That's his 3rd kill of the round, Vince. We just saw that one flick shot onto Junior in mid, and now he follows up with some clean kills. But Moose also has some accuracy up his sleeve. The AK headshot for 1, but he knows that Bomb is stranded. He knows this round is gone, and he knows he needs to save because his AK could be invaluable as a raid boss type situation in the 9th. This is a 6-2 advantage for the CT side of their opponents. Not the map choice of Zapug Godz, but definitely their map so far.
Oh, no doubt. When you consider that there's only been 2 bomb plants and we're moving into round 9, that's a little bit worrisome. Not just in terms of building up the economy, but it also suggests that a lot of these rounds have been fairly straightforward, fairly one-dimensional. And I do worry a little bit for Triumph on that basis. You can see in this one, Moose has gone for the AK, basically the raid boss, but no one else is fully invested behind him. So it's looking good for another round, and Junior's head caved in from Zellsis. surgical precision with the M4. Never stood a chance. Maybe Spongy can land a dig, but Infinite has spotted him, tosses out the grenade on the retreat, and then puts bullets behind it. And that combination is enough to curb away Spongy. So Triumph, their woes continue here, Connor. They try and do what they can with some early aggression, but it's all been mitigated.
I feel like at this point, Moose, he just hopes he can save again. Because he survived the last round, he's still on $300. Whoop! There he goes, out of the count, and the follow-up from Zelsis. Cooper's op seals the deal, 7 rounds to 2, and a flawless round at that. So the solo AK of Moose, not enough. He could still get another AK-47, but obviously with the Kevlar, that's all the cash he had. It's his teammates who will be better equipped with the full-fledged utilities. And of course, Junior back on the op. This is not what we had going down on Inferno, where Junior was commandeering all sorts of control with the op advantage over Cooper. This map, and maybe, just maybe for the rest of it, Cooper has the edge. Much more comfortable here in mid-window, it seems. Finding the proper timing, finding those skewered shots. But he gets smoked off and has to reposition. Marky's also been a key piece to these mid-holds, I'd say. Just floating around Cat, omnipresent. And Cooper, well, he's going to have a player exposed. Oh, he even has 2 right there on the side of the smoke. Penny just a couple feet forward. Infinite gets the best of him and then falls back. Infinite has barely even died thus far on Mirage. 1 death to his name. Sheikh Zula now has that offer slain, gets the back of Marky turned, but he's all on his own. And as he taps, the mag goes dry. 22 health will not be enough for the clutch, and ZPG keep it rolling.
15 and 3 for Zelsis, 117 ADR. This man is on fire right now. And I mean, going back to the whole AWP discussion, at one point, Junior on Inferno was 1 and 4, but then he really stood it up. He really was able to come back into the map. The problem here is we're already 10 rounds done, and he's only got 2 kills and minimal control. Whereas Cooper, and you did raise this point, Scrawny, and it was a spot-on point that you made, that clearly he just wasn't that comfortable on Inferno. It's not necessarily the most freeing map when it comes to opportunities for AWPers. On Mirage, he's dictating the pace of the action. He's changed his position multiple times. You've seen him go aggressive in Palace, pushing aggressive in middle, playing connector. Hell, even going over on B early on. The guy is everywhere. He's omnipresent, and Triumph don't know how to deal with him.
The thing is Cooper's corralling the T's towards bomb sites, and then on each bomb site, you have this massive pop-off. 15 and 3 for Zelsis because they've gone to A more often, so he's died more often. But don't forget Infinite's 10 and 1 on B. So same could be said. It is the 2-man army with Cooper just orchestrating the entire affair. He comes in from Cat. Zelsis, he's got a swap to the sidearm, and he still tries to give chase because he is in full control. And you can tell the confidence of Godz is just taking over control of these kinds of anti-ecos. They're no longer looking to minimize mistakes, but rather have some fun. Zelsis is just charging down Moose at this point. Doesn't care if he seems to die because they've got that little bit of cash, and it affords you a bit more of a looser playstyle. Look, he's just chasing him with his pistol, man. Zelsis, no respect and none needed. 18 and 3. Score is 9-2.
Man, it almost feels like Cooper's AWP is this laser designator, right? And he just looks onto a site, and then he just says fire for effect. And Zelsis comes in and he's like, all right, cool. I'll be the heavy ordnance. I'll be the nuclear warhead. I don't mind that.
All aboard, Dad. That's a nice little bit of imagery, Vince. Thank you. I just see I see a nuke with Zelsis' cheeky face on it. Triumph just in tatters, limbs everywhere. Dazzle, he's just gonna put a quick end to Spongy. Cooper catches Junior soaring through the skies, and he will be left sore until the start of the next round. Left sour, perhaps. Dazzle looking for another, lines up 2 bodies. That kind of screws over Penny as he loses his teammate, but still is able to trade. At least he has 1 kill, but that's all his team has this round. 7-round advantage. Cooper trying to catch back up with Zelsis because Zelsis comes into mid last round and starts stealing all the easy ones. Cooper wants a piece of the pie. Delicious. Finds Penny. a bit metallic. But Moose could be a bit more savory. Tries to slip through smoke, and Zellsis has none of that. He is now 19-3. He cooled off that round, so Cooper could step up, and Triumph just grasping for air.
They're looking for that life raft, man, but it's got multiple punctures in it. It's sinking. They're not calling a timeout either to try and reinflate it. So it's getting a little bit scary. I've got to say, Triumph, you do run the risk of letting this get completely out of control. As it stands, minimum of 10 rounds, but honestly, it could become 13. As close as Infernal was, this is the entire opposite end of the spectrum. Triumph have never truly felt like they were in this map.
I feel like we're getting to the point, too, where it's evident Sheikh Zula's bogged down individually by trying to recreate his system. You know, they say that you win games in practice, right, Vince? Because everybody is then on the same page. But the practice has to have been limited in terms of what Triumph have been used to. And Sheikh Zula can shine. We've seen him take over maps, but ever since this roster, think about all the things he's trying to implement, and also on the fly, we now have 2 poor performances from him across Inferno and now Mirage. He goes down to Zellsis, and Spongy can try and avenge this, but it's a man disadvantage regardless, and Zellsis is still alive. That's a massive problem in and of himself. On 20 kills, 12 rounds deep, and he's looking for more. But the reinforcements have already arrived. Mooston Jr., 2v4, just try and fight to some avail. And instead, it's empty-handed. 9 rounds the advantage, and literally no sign of this stopping anytime soon.
No, there really isn't. You know, I'd love to sit here and be optimistic and give you a bit of hope, but I mean, simply put, the 2 rounds that Triumph won were rounds 4 and 5, and since then it's just been a killing spree. It's been a complete massacre. Still, Infinite, 1 death. Zellsis, 3 deaths, and we're in round 14. That's absurd. That should never be the case. Dazzle, that flashbang from Spongy actually wrecking Penny. They go too aggressive, but 2 kills do come back. Maybe Ruthless Aggression was the order of play. Maybe just to mix things up and get ZPG uncomfortable. And Infinite could be on for a second death if he's not careful, as this pushing smoke play from Spongy. Not quite able to capitalize onto that, but Infinite goes down to the hands of Sheikh Zula. Both remaining Ts are incredibly low, but this is the best chance they've had in quite a while, and Sheikh Zula wants to make sure with his position perfectly put into the site can try and hold the line, but Scrawny, it's not going to happen for them. They get 4 kills. It's a solid effort, but again, they come up short.
Yeah, just barely, though. I mean, almost tall enough to get on the ride. However, the bar comes clamping down upon them. Sheikh Zula in the 1v2 calls out the play perfectly, but Marky with the unorthodox top box peek, that one spells disaster. And you could even see like Infinite taking a risk, spamming through Ticket. Perhaps a play he wouldn't make if they weren't sitting pretty at 12-2. You know, he hasn't been punished for anything he's decided to do, so that's when things get a bit zany. Decisions fall wild. He's playing around deep in apartments, and there's a lot of players on the other side. Perfect lineup. Poor Junior has been so incredibly canceled across this second map. He is 2-14. Further damage a bit done by Infinite, but it still kills to Triumph. They have a chance to close with a third until Marky and Zellsis claw back the only hope they had. It's a man up for ZPG. Marky playing around these back pillars as Spongy is desperate to even get bomb. Moose with the op, calls out the flank, sees the player on bench and hits him, but it's still just not enough. A masterclass CT side. Join us after the break to see if there's anything left for Triumph.
My crew, yeah, we're lawless. Got the man, them thinking that we're flawless. Yeah, mama told you that I'm gorgeous. Got a million tricks, can't deport us. I'm a flame in the star, call me gassed. Back foot sliding, I'm slick to the mass. Calling to the tribe, it's a revolution past. Present in time, no, we can't be masked. So you better rise up, collapse, size up, shout out loud. Down before the time's up, so we better rise up, collapse, size up, shout out loud. Down before you want beef, then a tom-tom beater. If you want beef, then a tom-tom. 789, that's procedure. If we break bread, then I'm coming like a healer. If you want beef, then a tom-tom beater. If you want beef, then a tom-tom. My crew, yeah, we're lawless. Got the man, them thinking that we're flawless. Yeah, mama told you that I'm gorgeous. Got a million tricks, can't deport us. I'm a flame in the star, call me gassed. Back foot sliding.
Seems like Godz doing the dance of death, and Triumph keep tripping on their own 2 feet. Vince, it's a hell of a catch-up game to expect Triumph to give us much more in this series, but maybe a fresh pistol will be how it starts.
Yeah, well, it has to start here, right? They lose this, it's pretty much done. It is an elimination match as well, so they are playing for their tournament lives. Marky straight out into the open. Spongy does connect a couple shots, but not enough to outright frag him. And Junior, who's had a really rough go of it. 2 kills to his name, 13 HP in this round. And Godz 5v4 retake. Speaking of the man himself, he's in connector, perched up, waiting for his team to make moves through CT boxes before he can join them. But an unorthodox play from ZPG. They play 3 players around jungle and window. You would never anticipate this if you're Junior. Now he's going to start to realize this is a possibility, but it's too little too late. He's dead, but Spongy's opening up. There is a kit in play. He's going for the fusel. Can Zelsis stop him in time? No. And Spongy playing the interference, just what Triumph needed. They needed a second pistol. They've got it.
Zelsis may be 24-5, but he can't stop time. And Spongy stopped Triumph, ZPG, in their tracks, man. Those USP headshots were killer. That's one of like the best individual plays we've kind of had out of Triumph across this Mirage map, which is scary, but at least it's crisp to begin. And Godz with the wiggle room of a massive advantage and the bomb plant injection of cash decide to come in with a buy. A buy that may cost them because a fantastic frag grenade softens up 3. Doesn't stop Marky from opening up with a kill. And poor Junior, he's been painted into a dire picture. He's trying to flash his way out, but he just burns to a crisp, somehow taking Cooper with him. And Sheikh Zula's trying to get into the action, shaving Dazzle off from underpass. It's a man advantage for the T's, but a blindside from Infinite. The only terrorist left with full health. And Sheikh Zula having to do it all now. 1 versus 3, or the force back from Godz that looked more like a buy than a force. Oh, it may just be enough, Vince.
It really should be enough. Triumph, worst case scenario, you win the pistol, you lose the second round, barring a Sheikh Zula 1v3. Damage done. MP9 at this range, though, will not best the FAMAS. And Infinite, man, this guy's deagle work is absolutely insane. Another 1D, but Marky shooting through the smoke here, anticipating that push, and then taking down the burning Junior, as you highlighted. 14-3, Triumph have to go in for a force, and Scrawny, this just feels like it's the beginning of the end, man. I want to be hopeful, but just the nature and how well ZPG have played this Mirage, it's been exceptional.
Unfortunately, it makes me think back to what we had Junior say in the interview before this series where, you know, oh my God, Dazzle gets him through the smoke. Everything was remade, you know? They went back and just restarted. Everything changed, he said. It's clear. They're uncomfortable. And where's the individual levels that we had on Inferno? That looking far more like their map choice than this. It's a 3v3 regardless, and they've managed to take back that B control. Bomb not quite here just yet as options remain open. Moose with contact from Catwalk. It's him and Junior. 2 versus 2. One of which unarmored, but they'll try to get that bomb back off of the A site. Infinite has a safe plant with Jungle playing a factor here. Remember, bomb is planted on the connector side of triple.
Junior, 1v2. If there was a moment for this very talented young man to perform, it would be right here, right now with his AK-47. Cooper, window. Other adversary of Infinite is in Palace. He is in drop down, but it's going to be so frustrating. He doesn't have time any longer. Doesn't have a kit, doesn't have Kevlar. Needs to hold on to this AK if he can. And he's unable to do even that. 12 match points. And my goodness, how things have changed in this last 15, 20 minutes of Mirage. And, you know, look, Rome wasn't built in a day, Scrawny. If they're going to try and recover and restart things for Sheikh Zula, you're going to have performances like this to start things off. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck, especially after a close performance in Inferno. But on the other side, I don't want to take anything away from ZPG. They have played such good Counter-Strike.
Yeah, the individuals really came to play today. Celsius, most notably here on Mirage. Like, talk about cranking the dial. But you are right. It will take time for Triumph to improve. It just sucks that they have to go through these growing pains in what's probably going to be one of their biggest chances for a little while. This DreamHack Open Summer event, nothing to write off, Vince, especially for guys like them who would have had a chance in their group, you know, had... Oh, hold on. Sheikh Zula's got a gun. That all of a sudden makes this 5v3 all the better, because even with a double man advantage, it was the lackluster hardware that kind of left an asterisk next to it. Cooper, he's trying to size up this forward A play, looking to finish the game with a 3v5. What a way it would be to send off Triumph. Elimination looming over their head. Celsius, he's looking to be the final hit. And there's the second headshot from him, clearing out the A site. He's got that bomb. However, his teammate not quite giving cover enough. Junior finding a smidgen of an angle to play from. Marky in for the clutch, loses half of his health in the first engagement, sees the other two, has a little bit of cover. 10 HP just won't be enough.
Not enough, but he knew he had to go for a peek there because 2 players locking him down, time running against him, bomb not under his control, and unbeknownst to him, there's also a Molotov. So if he stayed behind those stairs for too long, there'd have been some liquid fire to meet him. But ZPG still 11 match points, still have some assault rifles to play with, knowing that they have tons of time. Even if they concede this, hell, even if they concede the next 3 or 4 rounds, they're still in cruise control. They're not going to start to worry until 10 or 11 rounds come up to Triumph. So they've got time to burn. Triumph in the meanwhile, though, no more room for error. One mistake could cost you everything.
Fine timing on this Molotov, and maybe you very much interrupt the flow of ZPG on their attempted entry. They're going to go 2 flat Palace and 2 players ramp. However, Dazzle goes down. This is going to afford Penny a little bit of space here. He's going to definitely try and dogpile this A site. Oh, big 3K from Penny and the full house when you take Junior's 2-piece into the equation. For Junior to only have 7 frags, those 2 are big. If Triumph are genuinely going to make this retake happen, it has to be off of clean rounds like that. Make us believe. ZPG back into the pistols.
You know, I almost get the impression here, Scrawny, it's not even making us believe, it's making themselves believe. You know, I feel like the reflection in the mirror is their biggest opponent right now. No disrespect to DPG, but I think Triumph are capable of so much better than what we've seen. A Glock kill for Marky as Junior descends from the window. Something you won't see too often, but it's the only blip on the radar of an otherwise solid anti-eco from Triumph. But where the anti-eco comes in, the full force will be just behind it, and they have to be very wary and cognizant of that fact. Celsius can't afford the AWP, even if he wanted to pick one up and drop it to Cooper, so he goes in for the Glill instead. And Triumph at least putting some power together, Scrawny. Of course, again, it's going to have to be a lot more where that came from before we start to believe in this.
More patient setup to the top of mid, hoping that maybe Triumph get aggressive with their newfound success, their newfound confidence. Probably something they haven't felt since the start of this map. Dazzle looks to just bring this back, sits patiently in the apps, and lets his teammates work towards mid. We've gotten utility usage here out of Penny. Starting to flirt with the idea of pushing perhaps through smoke. Could be costly. Could also really mess with the setup of ZPG. They've got 3 Ts in the mid. An omnipresent threat in Moose looms at the top of that ladder room. Penny comes back to try and make sure nobody just cheats through smoke. That's going to enable the rotate from Junior over towards Ticket. The only A player was Spongy, and he's had his head on a swivel trying to prevent Infinite from just swooping through this bomb site. The Godz now making their ultimatum, and oh, that's nice. Junior, quick chance, flick up, and he hits it. Infinite is down. Now Moose in from ladder, doubles up, and another perfect round from Triumph. 2 in a row.
They've done everything you could ask for them so far on this comeback trail. Flawless rounds, economy building nicely, affording them all of the opportunities they could want. They've also picked up a ton of AKs from the corpses of the Ts. You can see all of their assault rifles are AK-47s, and they have 2 AWPs alongside it, so it doesn't get much better than this if you're a CT side. Obviously, the scoreline could be a lot better, but ZPG, they're going to have a half buy coming in. And that was just a systematic shutdown as well, Scrawny. You know, the one thing that we kind of highlighted is it just seemed ZPG were on fire when it came to dueling. When it came to those individual trades, they were winning out all of them. Well, Triumph, that last round, nothing particularly spicy, like strategically speaking. They just won every single fight that was put their way, very much like this.
Junior's getting ready for his mid-peak. There it is. Again, a sign of life. From the Opera of Triumph. They may have had to reinvent themselves coming into this match. At least that was the plan. But maybe the CT side is where that comfort still exists. Everybody from Triumph is putting in the effort. 17 frags on Penny, 14 for Moose, and 12 kills each, the other 3. No ridiculous shining star like Zelsis for Godz. Or if we go back one map, you could argue Dazzle had him. Triumph have been here, shoulder to shoulder. Live together, die together, type ordeal. Trying to get another flawless round on the board here versus Rifles. The last 2 gun rounds have had 0 casualties. Even that anti-eco with 4 survivors in the end. Spongy, he's going to feel the heat, most definitely. Gets forced out of his initial position. He's playing with grenades. Timing could come back to bite him. Penny able to get just the one. The second A defender dies empty-handed. This is map and match and tournament life on the line. And it's a 3v retake, 3v4 retake, or die. Double op. Not ideal, but a perfect place Molotov, and Junior equals this one out. Now they've got that smoke, and it's going to give him a little bit of space to play around with. Oh, Sheikh Zula also showing his competence as an op as he gets the headshot versus Cooper. What's Infinite going to do other than just give up this bomb site? He's going to try and run as fast as he can. If he can double to ramp, then maybe there's a chance. But Moose, he's already on the bomb, and this one keeps giving. Triumph with a 9.
Those are some sick retake kills, don't get me wrong. I'm just very perplexed as to why people keep peeking one by one. You're seeing here peeking out is Dazzle, peeking out from ramp is Cooper. I'm confused why that's the case. They had the bomb planted for them there. Why are they peeking out from positions where they have the advantage? That left Infinite no chance at all.
I have no answers for you, Vince. God, Sheikh Zula. That's, you know what? I was just thinking to myself, after Inferno, having watched him try his damnedest and just be a step behind the rest of his team, it was looking like that was the exact case here on Mirage as well. But he's caught back up. He was notably lower down on the scoreboard than the rest of his team, but he is caught up towards the end, and it's not over yet. Don't forget for a moment how close that first map truly was. One of the key pieces to Triumph's success back when they still had Grim and Curry during the runs at DreamHack Masters and Blast Premier was that they were unkillable. You could not squash their belief in themselves. The comebacks were key. And that was versus the likes of, say, EG and 100 Thieves. So truly, who are the Godz in comparison? Well, right now, they're the team that's got 6 map and match points over top of you, plus the 5v4.
And they have the player advantage too. Penny, who has been pretty damn good for Triumph today, is the first casualty, and now the set play comes into effect. Spongy has been in this position many a time as Molotovs rip all around him, but it's only the head of Zelsis that's going to block his bullets, and Spongy's holding so very well with Sheikh Zula. Moose now stepping up to the plate for one, and there's a second. Triumph refusing to lose, refusing to go down. The Godz are having to work their asses off to get this last round, and they may not be able to pick it up. And you know, I said before, if Triumph can get 10 or 11 rounds, that's when ZPG may start to worry, start to look over their shoulder. Well, we've reached that stage, Scrawny.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And I welcome it with open arms. Triumph not going to go down without a fight. That double sniper setup has been something to praise. Oh, Penny, he finds a good bit of timing there versus Zelsis. Don't forget, it is just versus pistols. But we've seen some nasty Deagle plays this evening. And Junior, easy up shot versus Infinite. Moose almost taken down by Dazzle's shenanigans. Now he's going to be burned out into the open and shut down by Sheikh Zula. Cooper takes the place of the corpse. Does the same as the Deagle, and it's all shut down. This is not the first, nor the second, nor the third where Triumph have survived with 5 players up.
Yeah, which is kind of extraordinary considering the vast deficit they found themselves in. They still have an AK on Moose, 2 M4s alongside that, but that double AWP setup has been pretty huge. Sheikh Zula with the second of them has really turned my head. He had a very slow start to the first half, but he's looking good. Zelsis whiffing his Molotov. I think he got flashed just before he left it. Let it come out of his hands, and that's going to be a little bit awkward. That was designated towards the connector area. So, Triumph 4 rounds shy now of securing a second consecutive overtime. And ZPG, they've got to be very careful now. They lose this round, they're looking at a potential save. That would put Triumph potentially into 15-13 territory. And that's where you start to get a bit itchy. You start to get a bit hot under the collar. If you're ZPG, smokes being deployed on both sides, fending off window and connector. Flashbang out, Marquis in close proximity. They may think about boosting into window. It's a play that they've got a bit of success from in previous rounds. But Triumph realize this is a possibility, and Penny's going to make sure that no one's up there lurking.
Smoke fades. The threat's real, but the Molotov will tell him there's nobody tucked into these corners, or they'd be self-immolating with no real good cause. Penny still lingers on. Junior, he's turned his attention back. Once more, Infinite has a chance to just swoop out from Palace, but Junior, he shuts down the first. The double scope almost costs him. How he keeps his head up, I don't know. But Dazzling Cooper with a kill apiece, and Spongy could be the savior. He has provided impact on this A site round after round, and a chaotic situation. Think about Penny, who was so passively holding mid, wary of the potential window boost, instead comes just throwing through the smoke, and he gets one. Dude, it looked like Junior was going to be Cyclops tunnel vision to his death. You could have shoved a fork in his one eye, but he somehow unscopes and gets that second kill. Crazy impact for the heat of the moment, but the heat's going to get cranked even hotter because the Godz look to rush B.
They look to rush B, but there's a Molotov down there. So Heat's certainly an apt description of the pressure they're going to have to try and bypass, but they're going to get up close and personal, and Moose gets the one. Junior now close range with his AWP. With Sheikh Zula He's gonna look to try and lay down the law, but he drops down to the hands of Cooper. Another Deagle frag could be forthcoming. Penny next to fall. Junior and Spongy, last two remaining players, gonna be post-plant. Cooper will successfully get this bomb down. They're not able to get any of the big weapons across, only a MAC-10 in play, and Junior is still putting frags out. Now it comes down to Marky, 1 versus 2. Spongy, very low HP, but Junior healthy. Looking good to clutch this. The CTs and Junior through the smoke. Mate, at one point he was 2 and 14. He's now 19 and 20.
He's an animal. I mean, Infinite makes a crucial error when he's tucked back behind bench. Think about it. Spongy and Junior. Yeah. Regardless, whoever's still alive on that backdoor, Vince, they didn't have an easy route out. There could have been somebody close tucked window. Junior sees the elbow of Infinite and just takes his arm clean off, picks it up and beats his dead teammates with it, because that is an individual showing that keeps Triumph going at least 1 round closer. But the guns are back. That round should have never been so close, because the Pug Gods just caught that B defense by surprise. Sheer tenacity and aggression almost got it over the line. Zelsis has cooled off since the astronomical performance of the first half. Just the same way Dazzle did on Inferno. It was the first half individual showings that made Triumph look like chumps. But they bring it back, man. The resilience is never ending. They tuck Penny back towards CT spawn. They go for the boost as Moose looks to take over Apps. 1 player deep back holding him. But this cat to B split could be deadly.
They nearly got it done in the previous round with effectively a MAC-10 and pistols. So you add some AKs and an AWP into the mix, and things should, on paper, work out a little bit smoother for ZPG. They now start to make a move in. 40 seconds left allocated to them. They want to raise this site to the ground, put this map behind them, put this choke behind them. But Penny, pardon me, is going to be coming in with a frag, and now Moose with 3. Oh my God. ZPG stumble and are knocked off their mortal coil one more time. Dazzle, last man standing. Gonna have to pull off a 1v5, and down he goes to Moose. They will be able to buy again, but Triumph, whatever happens from this point, Connor, I have so much respect for this comeback.
Hell yeah, you have to. Another map where they're putting in the work. Moose, the 1-man army, tucked close on that apartment's door. Check out this scoreboard. Think about the fact that if it wasn't for that 17th round force buy win, and to be fair, don't think of it as just, say, pistols and CZs. Because of the pistol round bomb plant, they had like 3 AKs in the mix. It was a great buy. But after that and the conversion, it's been nothing. Look at the defuses. 1 in 24 and 1 in the 28th. Barring those 2 rounds and pistol, there has been no other post-plant situation for the Pug Gods to try and hold on. This is the turnaround. This is the comeback, and the series that could still keep giving. Ooh, baby. I didn't know why Triumph chose Mirage when it came to that T side, but this defense has been rock solid.
It's been a fortress. It's just been unbelievably strong. ZPG seem like they've gone off the boil significantly. Saw Zelsis and Infinite. At one point, Infinite was like 10 and 1. I think he'd only died 2 or 3 times after the first half had come to its conclusion. How things have changed on that side, but it's mainly been propagated by the fact that Triumph have just woken up. Their CT side looks leaps and bounds, legions ahead of that T half, and now ZPG have one more chance to put this map to bed in regulation, and Penny just pivots instantly onto Zelsis. Lightning fast reactions, and ZPG on the back foot one more time on their T half.
Sorry, Zelsis, this is no longer the first half. He tries to sprint into connector with no flash and just gets turned right back. Marky, he's looking to pick up the pieces, but Penny's omnipresent, and he's looking for a third in the round. Penny's coming in big. Him and Moose have been the difference makers at the end of this second half. It's up to Cooper and Infinite to try and claw it back. It's a 2v4, but a Molotov calls out Penny's position perfectly. He goes down for near free, and Junior's barely alive, but he's not the only offer. Sheikh Zula brings it on to just Cooper. 22 kills already, and he'll need 3 more, but he's been tagged down and nearly dead. He's pinched, and this isn't over. Another overtime needed. An incredible series from teams we didn't expect much from. They have gone toe-to-toe. They are locking horns. But Penny, my man, worth his weight in gold. And Moose, you have to say the same. Go back to the CT side of ZPG. You had Zelsis on the A site going wild, and you had Infinite on B, with Cooper, the op, forcing each team to one of those 2 problems. The same can be said for Triumph's defense. You've got Junior stepping up and turning things around. And what does he corral his opponents into? The newcomers of Triumph. It is Moose locking down the B-bomb site a la Infinite, and of course the Zelsis counterpart, most notably seen in that 30th round where he got the opening kill. It is Penny in connector to make the difference.
I don't know what's going through the minds right now of ZPG, man. You had, what, 12 match points? And Triumph just battled back. They take us to overtime. You were successful last time in overtime, but do they have the mental strength and fortitude to bring this back and actually take the OT now? It happens so often. The team makes this drastic comeback, and then the other one just steps up to the plate and delivers. But, man, Connor, I would be distraught right now if I'm ZPG.
Bro, I am distraught, Vince, and I'm not even in the damn server. We're just sat here talking about it. I can barely believe my eyes. Triumph, it would have been so easy to just lose this. So incredibly easy.
Well, they didn't take the easy option. They fought back. They fought until the bitter end. And now, if they were to take this map, if they were to win here on Mirage, Vertigo would be our final stop. And I think mentally, you've got to give Triumph a little bit of an advantage if it gets to that point. As good as ZPG might be, as professional as these players are, this is not a regular occurrence. Losing is one thing. Losing in this nature is an entirely different beast altogether. And now we are ready to jumpstart back into the action. Triumph, after a phenomenal comeback, now have a real chance at not just playing for OT, but playing for a win, playing for victory. ZPG, only 2 rounds the entire half on their T side. We'll see if they can add to that. But of course, the other side, you can say here, Scrawny, the same could be said for Triumph. T rounds are going to be so vital and valuable.
Oh, the tension's so thick. Penny just chilling inside of connector. Sheikh Zula underneath the balk. So many players on the other side. Contrast this to round 30. Zelsis runs into connector on his own. Nobody there to trade it. This time he brings his bigger brothers, Dazzle and Marky, looking to strong arm young Penny. And there he goes, bent in half. Now worth nothing. 5v4 for Zapug Godz. Think about the ratio here, Vince. If you got yourself so few rounds in regulation on this T side, then maybe just 1 will be enough in overtime. They just have to follow through with the 5v4. We've seen Moose hold apps big time, and it's Junior now at bat. Hits the first shot, drops the Molotov, and that cools ZPG right off. They have to stall, and they have no map control to fall back on. If Zelsis tries to call that this is a rotate back to the A site, I mean, they are opening themselves to an unknown quantity. They have no clue where these CTs hold. He goes to the top of mid with bomb, calls his team back through underpass. Now it's 4-man connector, exactly where they started the round. Sheikh Zula, not the primary, but secondary offer. Spongy, a little preoccupied with the thought of ramp, but it is all in from connector. There's the first kill. Can't manage to spray for the second, and Sheikh Zula's tagged pretty damn low. Oh, but he hits the flick shot. 6 seconds left. If he hits the wall bang, this round's over, but Infinite's gonna get it in. And Moose, he goes charging through. They get the retake instantaneous, and Triumph will win the first here in OT1.
Oh God, close again, but Triumph, how many of these exceptional retakes have we witnessed? And Sheikh Zula, by the way, that flick shot was disgusting. This one here, that's huge as well. That's absolutely massive that he's picked that frag up, because if he doesn't, it means there's going to be a second player watching the CT box side while the plant comes down, affording the other player to watch con and jungle. So they have a much better retake post-plant situation for the T's perspective. So the fact he lands that is so phenomenal. And now Triumph, for the first time, perhaps in this entire matchup, actually in the lead. Cooper missing the shot as a flashbang detonates in his eyes, and there's going to be a grenade behind there just to chip him a little bit. But my goodness, how things have changed. I could just picture someone coming back to this, assuming the map was done, and being like, hold on a second. What 16-15? No, it's actually the score, guys. Your monitor's not broken. This is real.
It's not easy to make sense of it, but it is real, Vince. As real as you and I. They're transfixed on connector, man. They really want to work their way through that A-bomb site, splitting this defense. And with the consistency of Spongy being forward on ramp, I get it. But this time it's not him, it's Penny who is completely tucked. So they've moved their connector player into a dedicated A ramp hold, and they've taken the second site man to double up down on Ticket. The only thing this opens to the favor of ZPG is jungle, but Junior, under pressure, goes down. It's that deadly A duo from the first half of Zelsis and Dazzle, but they don't account for Penny. He comes right back with a headshot. Now he sees the player out from Palace, and he's calling for his teammates to come on over. Moose buying time in mid. Oh, don't tell me he's disconnected. If that's the case, then it's going to be between Penny and Sheikh Zula, looking to pinch what remains on the A site, but Dazzle finds the better of the timing. The Opera goes down. It is 30 HP left over. Moose back into the action, but maybe too late. They have so little health left over, but it's one of the stars from the first map. It's one of the stars from the first half. It's Dazzle's 3K that makes the difference.
Yeah, of course, money's great, but Moose has an AK-47. You want to keep that if you can. Significant firepower upgrade over the M4s. Very unfortunate for Triumph, but Zapog Godz, only their third T round in this entire matchup, but what a time to pick it up. And if they can end on a victory right here, it would put them in very good stead. I will say, though, just to play devil's advocate, as we may see a confrontation in middle. Nope, decides not to push behind that flash. But maybe their confidence is shot, so we won't see a CT side as prolific as we did in regulation. A lot has changed since then and now. But no early casualties, with only Zelsis watching from middle, making sure no aggression is forthcoming from the CTs.
Marky buys time. They tend to be maybe 3 Ts down in mid, but this time it's just the 2. They want to deal with that ramp play, and I get it. Penny could have been the difference maker. Spongy's always over there. You don't want to leave that empty. Minute on the clock, and Junior's wary of the mid play, decides to tuck back towards CT spawn, and rocks it over towards Ticket. So window is open, and Marky knows it.
Uh-oh. There is a flank though, Scrawny. Moose is making moves. He's getting round the back. This is something we didn't see them do much in regulation time because it wasn't required. They typically just battered down everybody. Penny watching connector. Moose getting step by step closer. With each passing second, he becomes more and more of a threat until eventually that's going to spill over into frags. But Penny holding the line for 2. Now Moose about to show his hand with 1 and the second frag. And it's worked out perfectly for Triumph. They do concede the 1 round in overtime, but they still lead going through to that second half of OT.
Absolutely, but we have to remember how this comeback even began. It was a near absent-minded T side from Triumph, near non-existent, Vince. And I'm not meaning to be rude. It was just that damn flat. If anybody had walked away from their computer after the first 15 rounds, I would absolutely understand. But you make sure that any of your friends who have left, you get them back. And you get them back now. Because Triumph, this is all they need. 1 T round to secure double overtime. And they'll get a shot at another flawless CT half, perhaps. And if they can just milk these 3 rounds for 2 wins, then this series keeps on giving. Dazzle, he's ready to lock him down, but Spongy gets the instant entry. Shakezula, he hears that timing. He heard Zelsis drop. This is massive. 5v3 advantage working into the A site. The only hold comes in the possibility of Cooper, and they may not even give him anything. Junior bests him in the head-to-head op duel that has at times not been present. Spongy, perfect position, goes in for the one. Marky only able to trade. Triumph securing that second OT. The comeback is real.
Imagine saying that Triumph were going to have 2 match points, or two map points, pardon me. Potentially 2 match points if this goes their way later on, but 2 map points now. You'd have called me a madman.
Whatever Shakezula brings to the table in terms of composure is worth $1 million, because I learned this lesson with the original head-turning Triumph when they were down 12-3 versus 100 Thieves on Nuke way back when, a couple months ago, and they forced that into a tie. Ties, Omega lol. But, you know, it was what it was. They could have gone on to win that match. They were robbed of the chance, but they completed the comeback at least. So why would those 3 members, what remains in Junior, Shake, and Spongy, doubt themselves here versus what Christine called a bunch of has-beens? ZPG gave us incredible first halves across 2 maps. Massive individual showings, but not the orchestrated team effort that Triumph are leaning on to keep themselves in this map, in this match, in this tournament. Winning now would not finish the job. We have Vertigo up next. All they need is one of the following 2, and Cooper, he knows something's up in mid. He doesn't keep eyes on Connector, almost caught with an offset crosshair, but still he gets the kill just as quickly as Penny. Shakezula, electric slides out from Palace. Junior's op, claws one back, and now it's the 2 versus 4. The Pug Gods had their foot on the throats of Triumph, and they just stood tall, punched them back, and looked to lock it down now. Marky's flash, with Infinite by his side, is all that's left over. They have a comfortable post plant with 2 players back on ramp. Is it enough? Infinite nearly on the bomb. Both these players with kits, but no utility, and they're so outnumbered. Triumph close map 2. Unbelievable scenes. A team that is so fresh off the press, you could easily write them off. An incredible comeback.
I don't even know what to say, Scrawny. I'm sat here in shock. I'm sat here in absolute shock. I have no words.
All right. Well, listen, I don't think we need to say any more because Triumph have done the talking, and our analysts will too after the break. We'll meet you guys on Vertigo for what has been an incredible series.
By the skin of their teeth, Triumph live to fight another day. This is a series that will be going down in the history books. The Mirage somehow goes in their favor. And Christine, the only question left now is how? How on earth did they manage to pull that off?
Oh my gosh, you know, for matches like this, it takes the perfect combination of a little bit of everything. And I mean, I guess it's really just ZPG allowing all those small things to just turn into the biggest snowball they've probably ever seen. Because at 15-3, I mean, even our producer was talking about it in the green room. At that point, can't you just throw some smokes, get the bomb down and hope for the best? And that is kind of what ZPG did. They threw everything at the wall and was hoping for something to stick. But at that point, you had some members a little bit timid. They didn't want to lose. Some members thinking, this is my moment to be the hero. This is my moment to find the frags. And sure, it works when you're hitting your shots and you're, you know, Zelsis is 20 kills and 4 deaths in the first half. You look great. But then when you start not hitting your shots and you don't have the answers, you don't have the strategy because you're a new team, then this is the kind of result that kind of happens.
That's exactly it. And I really did want to bring up, you know, Celsius, Cooper really sing their praises, but we just can't do that now. Alex, in your opinion, what on earth happened on that T side to just allow this to snowball and then go to OT as well?
Oh, man, like Christine said, it's a combination of a lot of things. I think the point that Pug Godz are still a new team is probably one of the biggest factors. The fact that they didn't have that just one set play that they want to run to just try to get them over the edge, push them over. That's what a team like Heroic would have done earlier today. A team like Big, if they were having trouble like this, you would expect some kind of set play, some kind of fast cat split maybe, or an A exec off the top. And for Pug Godz, I feel like they tried a few too many things without really just putting all their eggs in one basket. At one point, you need to really just scrim out A or scrim out B. They even did a really good exec onto the B bomb site one time, and then they lost the 3v2 post plant, and it felt like a lot of rounds were like that. They had little edges at times, but man, I have to just praise the composure on the side of Triumph. The way that Junior played around that A bomb site with the op, it felt like sometimes he was getting swarmed. There were players all over him, and I think one time they were running up connector, he was around default with it. It looked like he was double scoped and he was about to die, but he somehow just finds a flick shot, finds that second kill in the round, and because of it, they are able to stay alive and bring it all the way back. I can't believe that all happened.
It's absolutely nuts. They must have just been taking that one round at a time, and it definitely paid off for them. And I love that you bring up Junior there, because, you know, he was a player that you were talking about in the pre-game segment. He didn't really show up in the first half, but the change that he made going into that second half of Mirage, I feel like it was super instrumental for the team going forward.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, he, as Maui mentioned, he's the linchpin at that A. As long as he's hitting those long shots, all of his riflers will start gaining so much confidence. All of a sudden, that A hole just becomes that much easier. So that's kind of that snowball effect. It goes in reverse, and that's what we saw. And as much as we can kind of hate on ZPG for not being able to convert a match that they should have, it takes so much to be able to capitalize on those mistakes as well, because the small mistakes we're talking about coming out of ZPG, it's not in your face obvious mistakes, it's small minor things here and there. And Triumph, they're individuals, they absolutely capitalized on that.
Yeah, it was very impressive stuff by Triumph. I think that might have been the understatement of the century, but apt for this series, we are going to be going to Vertigo. Guys, we didn't expect it to be going the distance here. And if you're ZPG going into Vertigo now, Alex, what on earth are they thinking?
You just got to stick to the game plan. Whatever you had going into the day, if it did end up on Vertigo, you just need to go back to that. You need to have a crazy mental reset during this break, and you need to come back and just play your heart out, because to fall like this in a tournament of this scale for these players would just be heartbreaking. I don't know how they would bounce back mentally. Just this will loom over them forever if they do not win map 3.
Well, it's a series that has gone the whole 9 yards, and it's going to Vertigo. Will ZPG make the comeback, or will Triumph take it out? Find out after this.